Brother Carl Froch has done something that nobody in British boxing has managed to do in years. He's made Tyson Fury, the man who stood in front of Deontay Wilder 3 times and Alexander Usyk twice without flinching, genuinely furious. Not John Fury furious. Not press conference furious. Actually, personally, dangerously furious. And the threat Tyson just made about what he's going to do when he sees Froch is the most talked about line in British boxing right now. Stay with me, because this story just got a whole new dimension. Alright, so here's the full picture. This beef started back in February at Tyson Fury's comeback press conference at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. John Fury, 60 years old, Tyson's dad, stormed down a flight of stairs during a live broadcast, crashed Carl Froch's Netflix punditry segment, and went at him in front of Lennox Lewis, Anna Woolhouse, and every camera in British boxing. Froch sat there and took it. Went home, made a video, said if security hadn't been there, he'd have volleyed John down the stairs. Called it easy work for the Cobra, and that should have been the end of it. Another John Fury moment, another viral clip, another chapter in the longest-running call-out in British boxing history that never actually goes anywhere. But then something changed. Froch didn't go quiet this time. He went back into proper training camp, he started hitting bags, running, getting sharp. The Misfits promoters had a phone call with him and posted publicly that John Fury looks like he got his fight. A 7-figure offer was put on the table. And Carl Froch, 48 years old, retired since 2014, started actively pushing for this fight to actually happen. And that is exactly where Tyson Fury's patience ran out. Because here's what nobody anticipated at the start of this saga. John Fury calling out Carl Froch is one thing. John Fury has called out half of Britain at various points, and nothing has ever come of it. But Carl Froch actively pushing back, staying vocal, going back into training camp, keeping the pressure on the promoters, that is a different situation entirely.
I'm literally just watching Carl's YouTube video. Carl's my mate, I like Carl a lot. I spend a lot of time with John, I like John as well. They're not going to fight each other. Carl's 48, John's 61. They're not going to fight each other. I wouldn't want them to. Nobody should be in the ring at 61, to be honest. No, I mean it's entertaining, but I don't believe they will. I don't want them to. But the back and forth, it's a funny watching it, so let them crack on.
And from what's being reported, Tyson Fury is genuinely enraged by it. Not at his dad, at Froch, the man who keeps saying yes. Think about that dynamic for a second, because it's actually fascinating. John Fury started all of this. John Fury stormed the press conference. John Fury punched walls and marched through corridors and screamed Froch's name in buildings Froch wasn't even in. John Fury demanded the fight gets made, and Froch said yes. And apparently, that is the part that has sent Tyson Fury over the edge.
You know them championship belts he won, don't you? He wants to give them to somebody with a pair of nuts, because let me tell you, he's no street fighter. I'm a street fighter. It took 20 men told me there tonight. There's no 12-stone man or 13-stone man going to do any good with me.
So the whole John Fury, Carl Froch debacle has started all over again, but it started picking up a little bit last week with a press conference for Tommy Fury and Eddie Hall. And then John Fury at the end of the fight started talking some absolute bullshit, saying that Carl Froch needs to get his belts taken off him because he's not a street fighter. For one, why the fuck does street fighting matter in regards to boxing belts? And then obviously Carl Froch responded. He had this to say.
When he boxed pro, he spent more time with his arse on the canvas than on his feet, and he was absolutely fucking useless. There's a chance that this fight might actually get made if John doesn't vanish like he did last time.
And then after that, he then basically went on a rant saying to John, sign the contract, don't price yourself out, you always start on the smallest man, you're a bully, all that sort of stuff. This is exactly what he said.
So John, listen up, and listen closely, because I want you to get this into your thick fucking skull. This has been going on for too long now. I saw you punching a Perspex picture on a wall the other day. Walls don't hit back. You're a fucking bully. Started on Carl Frampton, started on Steve Bunce. You headbutted the smallest man in the room at the Usyk press conference. Listen, I'm ready to fight. You've called it on. I'm answering. I'm ready for you. Sign the fucking contract or shut the fuck up.
Because from Tyson's perspective, and this is the bit sources are describing in detail, Froch has a choice. He can say no. He's said no before. The first time around when John priced himself out and vanished, Froch moved on. He could do that again. Instead, he's in the gym. He's talking to promoters. He's issuing warnings on camera. He is actively pushing toward a fight with a 61-year-old man, and Tyson views that as a former world champion knowingly pursuing a situation that puts his dad at genuine physical risk. Because the boxing world's reaction to this entire situation is almost entirely one direction, and the direction is not John Fury. Duke McKenzie said it plainly, "You don't get into the International Boxing Hall of Fame without being genuinely elite." Even now, at 48 and several years retired, Froch would be more than enough for John Fury. That's a former world champion making that assessment, not a pundit, not a social media account, a man who has been in professional rings and knows what he's looking at. Tony Bellew went further, said if his own father behaved the way John did at that press conference, he'd have pulled him aside and called it embarrassing. And Bellew is not a soft touch. This is a man who stood in front of David Haye and Alexander Usyk and never once blinked. When Tony Bellew calls something embarrassing, it carries weight. And then there's the detail that lands hardest of all when you put everything together. Froch said it himself after the press conference confrontation, the last thing he wants to do is iron out an old boy. But if it comes on top, it won't be him on the floor. That's not anger. That's not matching John's energy. That's a 48-year-old retired champion calmly explaining that the outcome of this situation, if it ever becomes physical, is not in doubt. And the fact that he says it that quietly is somehow more alarming than anything John Fury has screamed into a microphone across this entire feud. Wait for it, because here's where this story takes the turn that nobody saw coming. Tyson Fury has now entered the conversation, and bro, he is not happy. From what sources are describing, Tyson is genuinely enraged, not at his dad, at Carl Froch. Because while John has been doing what John always does, generating chaos, screaming call-outs, living in the woods eating the filth of the earth, Froch has been the one keeping this alive, saying yes publicly, going into training camp, pushing for the fight to get made through Misfits and Kala Sourland, making it increasingly difficult for this to quietly disappear the way it always has before. And Tyson's position is simple. His dad is 61 years old. Froch is a former world champion who is reportedly back in the gym throwing combinations that boxing insiders describe as frighteningly sharp. And a professional fighter, a Hall of Famer who knows exactly what he's capable of, is actively pushing to get in a ring with a 61-year-old man. From what's being reported, Tyson views that as Froch knowingly pursuing something that puts his dad at genuine physical risk. And that has apparently pushed the heavyweight champion of the world to a place nobody expected him to reach publicly. Because Tyson came out and said it directly. He would never let this fight happen, dismissed the entire saga as a PR and marketing exercise, and then delivered the line that has been circulating everywhere since he said it. Rather than letting his 61-year-old dad get in a ring with Carl Froch, Tyson said he'd just backhand Froch himself when he sees him.
For me dad, at 60-odd-year-old, wanting to fight Carl Froch, and Carl Froch trying to boost his name off an old man's name. Do you think I'm going to let me dad fight Carl Froch, the backhand Carl Froch? Do you know what I mean? How's he going to fight 60-odd-year-old man? Have some brains, you silly fucker.
But I remember
Both of them. They need to fucking have a better sense and show some professionalism in this game.
No cap. The actual heavyweight champion of the world just publicly threatened to backhand a former super middleweight world champion because he keeps saying yes to fighting his dad. That is the most extraordinary development in a story that has had no shortage of extraordinary developments. And here's what makes it land differently to everything else that's been said. Tyson isn't backing his dad to win. He's not saying John would beat Froch. He's not even really defending John's behavior at the press conference. He's saying the fight should never happen, and if Froch keeps pushing for it, Tyson is going to make that Froch's personal problem. That is a protective instinct from a son who understands exactly what Carl Froch is capable of. And it tells you more about how Tyson privately assesses this matchup than any public statement he's made throughout the entire feud. So here's where this actually lands. John Fury stormed a live broadcast, went viral, lived in the woods, ate the filth of the earth, turned down 7 figures, and is still calling Froch a coward. Carl Froch sat through it all, went into training camp, kept saying yes, and is reportedly pushing harder than ever for this fight to get made with a date on the calendar. And now Tyson Fury, the man who has stood across from Deontay Wilder 3 times and Alexander Usyk twice, the most credible voice on what a dangerous fighter actually looks like, has entered the conversation threatening to backhand Carl Froch for daring to keep saying yes. Think about what that tells you. The heavyweight champion of the world is not saying his dad wins this fight. He's not backing John to handle Froch. He's trying to stop the fight from happening entirely. And the reason he's trying to stop it is the same reason every boxing pro who has watched Froch's training footage has been making the same quiet phone calls. This is not the fight John Fury thinks it is. And the person who knows that better than anyone is his own son. Froch said he feels like the chosen one. Said it might be his job to finally shut the big gobshite up, and now Tyson Fury has publicly threatened him for saying it.